What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you. Shout out to our friends at NeuroGum for keeping us energized and focused. NeuroGum is a chewing gum as well as mints. Got caffeine, L-theanine, and vitamins B6 and 12. Helps with memory and focus. I like to chew it really all the time, or just anytime I feel like I need a little bit of a mental boost, I'll pop a piece. Got about 40 milligrams of caffeine per piece, so it's not going to make you super jittery or keep you up all night. And then, I'll chew it when I'm making phone calls, when I'm driving around showing houses to my clients, before a big meeting, before a workout. Just really anytime I feel like I need a little bit of a boost, I pop a piece. So get out there and try some NeuroGum.
And shout out to our people over at Captain Beard Co. So if you're looking for great grooming products, especially around your beard, they have amazing stuff. They got beard butter, balm, oils, and then shampoo, body wash, conditioner. And the great thing about it is it's made with all natural ingredients. So some of the best stuff that you can actually use for your beard and your hair and your body. Not to mention they have some amazing smelling candles. So check them out, and when you go to make a purchase, use the promo code Zach and Pat for 10% off your purchase.
Also, shout out to our friends at Hand Wraps Rolling Papers. They're the highest quality rolling papers on the market. He's got rice rolling papers as well as hemp rolling papers, and they're just really high quality. He's a local guy here to St. Louis. They're in 16 local dispensaries here in St. Louis. If cannabis is legal in your state, get out there and try some Hand Wraps Rolling Papers. And before we get started on the show, if we could just ask a favor of anybody that's watching, if you've been paying attention to us for any length of time, we would really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button for us. We're a newer podcast, still trying to really grow this thing, and if you could click that subscribe button, and if you really want to go the extra mile, tell a friend that you think would like the show, because like I said, we're just trying to grow this thing. So, without further ado, let's introduce our awesome guest today. He is a real estate investor. He is the director of sales at Faster House, the great and powerful Matt Kresko, for the second time.
Welcome back, sir.
Boys.
Welcome back, man.
He's
94, 95 episodes later?
Yeah.
That is crazy. And 3 sponsors later.
Yeah, how about that?
You guys didn't have these when we were first rolling.
Yeah, look at us. Look at us go.
Yeah. I like the new setup, by the way.
Yeah.
That mural, that thing right
Pretty
there
sweet,
is,
right?
is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat was telling me beforehand that you got a buddy that does graffiti.
Graffiti, yeah. He's done a bunch in like a lot of the Mission Tacos, and he works at Proper Cannabis, and like he's that kind of guy. He's just real artsy, and I waited tables with him like growing up, like working at First Watch.
First Watch.
Yeah. And he was a waiter then, and he was just always drawing like graffiti on shit, and but in like on his like notepads and shit, and and I thought of him. I was like, man, it'd be really cool to like just get something like really big made up, and someone that I know, and just something that can hang behind us. And I was just like, I want to get more artwork for the studio. So
that's a sick setup.
Yeah,
and congrats on all the success that you guys have been having.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we love it, man. We're just having fun with it. I mean, it's not super huge by any means, at this point, but who knows? We're just gonna keep doing it, keep showing up, and
so what was it? 20 episodes, something like that. If you get past 20, you're in the
like
top 1% of podcasters.
Yeah, that was our goal at first, and then okay, well, that was pretty easy.
Yeah. How long has it been in total now?
It'll be a year in December.
Yeah, it'll be a year in December. We got 3 episodes out before 2024, so I think we started like late December, like after Christmas. I think we knocked out 3. And then...
So you guys are gonna hit 100 before a full year. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
2 a week, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be this is episode 99, and then we have a kind of a cool thing planned for episode 100. So that'll be cool whenever we release that one. So
it's badass.
But Matt, you've been on a fucking tear, bro. You've done a lot has changed since you've been on. When was it? Back in January.
We've all gone through some changes. So tell us about yours, man.
Yeah. So I guess since the last time that I was on, I went through 2023 as an acquisition manager at Faster House. So just learning the ropes of wholesaling. 2024, January, they approached me to take on the director of sales role, which has been awesome. And then about halfway through the year, I started really getting comfortable with starting to invest and picking up I got into real estate investing to begin with, right? Passive income, wealth building, all the good stuff. And then June, I guess it was June 4th, I bought my first duplex. July, I bought another duplex. August, I bought another duplex. September, I bought 2 single family homes, one of them being a flip. And then just closed on a couple more, no, one more, so which puts me at 11 doors total. And just finished my first flip, just hit the market last week.
Sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude,
Congratulations,
huge.
man.
Yeah,
Dude, that's
it is.
incredible. So a lot to dive into there. So you went from an acquisitions manager to director of sales. Like how do those roles differ, and like what's the kind of the changes in your day to day has been since switching roles?
Yeah, so I am in kind of a player coach role.
Okay.
I still buy houses for the company as an acquisitions manager, but I'm growing, recruiting, training, and overall leading the acquisitions team. So we've got about 7 guys. Got 7 guys right now. Currently looking for one more. So they're all home buyers. They all find off market properties. So most wholesaling companies will use traditional marketing methods. They'll use cold calling. They'll use mailers, digital marketing, stuff like that. We use that, but that only accounts for about 30% of our business. About 70% of our businesses are all referral generated. And so we're the biggest in St. Louis to do that. We buy about 260 houses a year. We're also one of the best nationally that do that. When we go to these big, called Collective Genius, it's a big real estate meetup, investor meetup. And we go there and everybody's always asking us questions about how we buy houses. So my goal is to help guys, yes, with sales processes, right? Like, hey, when you get in the door, how do you identify motivation, condition, timeline, price, yada, yada, yada. But half of the job is teaching them to go out and find deals. So that's what I'm doing.
How to network.
How to network.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you do an amazing job of that. So
That is probably one of the biggest reasons that they hired me in the role. Not only was I a workhorse when it came to networking, but I'm also a guy that I feel like I need to have a playbook when I do things so I can follow that playbook, right? Just like when we go to the gym, right? It's easier to have a playbook. So yeah, I helped kind of write the playbook and how to go out and network. I met both of you through networking. I think it was Paula from First Forum that ended up introducing us because I made a social media post and she was like, "You got to connect with Zach." And then Zach introduced.
us.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that I go back and I'm like, "How did we get introduced?" And I'm like, it's like this daisy chain of like, well, introduced to this person who introduces me to this person, and then so on and so forth. But no, it's been a really fun year. Like I said, I went like 2 years without really buying anything for my personal portfolio. And kind of grinding out new to real estate. And now I'm leading a team. And yeah,
This is year 3, right?
July was officially year 2.
Okay.
So into year 3 right now.
That's awesome.
Badass.
Good for you, man. It's incredible.
So then you've bought 11 rental properties essentially, or 11, or
so
is it
11 doors.
11 doors.
Yep. So combination of duplexes
Sure.
and single family homes. I guess the coolest part about this is like I guess depends on what's important to you. Some people like cash flow. Some people like equity. Some people like the tax benefits. It's kind of cool just having all of it, I would say.
Yeah.
So my
Good
cash
mix.
my cash flow isn't anything like to necessarily brag about. It's about a little over $1,000 a month, but it's monthly recurring cash flow, right? And that's only going to grow from here. But it's cool. I'm averaging about $40,000 added to my net worth per door.
Sick.
Right. So once I finish these refinances, I will have added like $300,000 to my net worth over the course of like 6-7 months, which is wild to me because we always talk about active income. And when I was probably until like a year ago, really, I was always just like, it's about what you make. And then I looked at it and it's like, my girlfriend's like huge on like saving. And she's like, it's actually what you save. And I'm like, really? It's at the end of the day, it's like, what are you putting towards your net worth? So when I think of like, okay, I could go out and make a really good active income of like $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, that's great. Like how many people can sit there and say like, I got to add $300,000 to my net worth. And then that's only going to amplify month over month, every month that debt is paid down a little bit more.
Right.
Plus appreciation and
Appreciation.
Yeah.
Yep. Full
Yeah.
gamut.
yeah, gotta love real estate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how are you buying these places? Like I know because I really want to get into the mentorship and coaching you've done. So I would imagine that that's a piece of it. But how would you like? What would you say has been like your key to buying these properties?
Yeah. So I would say number one would be being at Faster House.
Okay.
As you guys know, before I even got into real estate, I was an entrepreneur. I owned my own business. I shifted into this, fell on my face trying to do it on my own. Faster House brought me in, showed me the ropes. My initial goal was to do my 2 years, learn the world of real estate, get out, go and do my own thing. What I've realized is there's probably a chance I could make more active income on my own, but from a wealth building perspective, it's like I am in the best spot anybody could possibly be, which is in the doors of Faster House. The owners have a $50 million rental portfolio. You can literally go from buying the deal at Faster House, which is half my deals have come through those doors from other people and not just me. You can go from buying it to walking downstairs and getting a loan for the purchase and the rehab to going to the construction company and having them manage your construction and do the project management and then send it right over to the property management group.
So
That's
it's
awesome.
all in house.
Yeah. And so it is all in house. And then on top of that, we do cool things like a monthly wealth building mastermind that Lucas Walls, one of the owners, he runs point on, where we all talk about, okay, how many doors do you have? How much cash flow do you have? How much equity do you have? What are your goals for this year? And then what are you going to do to get there? Which I don't think, if you look at any other real estate investing companies, I think they want everybody to just be focused on what you're doing. And I think it's a very unique thing about Faster House that's why a lot of people want to work there. But yeah, did I start to ramble?
No,
Okay.
good. Keep going.
Cool. So yeah, that's where we're at. So number one is half the deals came through Faster House. The other half were self-generated and through networking with wholesalers, real estate agents, loan officers. And but yeah, and then another piece of that, I guess, on how I hit that growth was through coaching and mentorships. Pretty big believer in that. James Gleason,
James,
guy you guys know. Have you guys had him on yet?
No, we need to.
You got to have him on.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is. So he just hit. When I met him in October of last year, he was at right at 100 doors, and then
It's like 240 something now or something.
yeah,
right?
over the course of a little over a year, he's at almost mid 200s now.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's insane.
unbelievable growth. Also, a guy that's not only been there, done that, bought the T-shirt, but lives, eats, and breathes mentorship available to access him for any and all questions at just about any time. But he was a big part of helping me getting mentorship by Lucas Walls and guys like Sam Prim and my COO Matt Lauman. That was a big piece of it. But and then I've joined other masterminds and coaching programs. I'm a firm believer in that stuff. My expenses are pretty minimal right now. I still live in the downstairs of my duplex, but my mastermind and coaching expenses are fucking off the charts.
I'm sure.
Which I think you should. I think if you're an entrepreneur in any way, shape, or form,
You got to reinvest.
reinvest that money into people that can teach you the things. But you have to, there's a caveat there, right? You have to put in
You have to put the
massive
work in.
action
Yeah, you got to
with the
implement
things
it.
that you're learning. Yes, implementation, 100%.
You can't just do the coaching courses or read the books or do whatever and then just sit on your ass and wait for shit to come to you because it's never gonna.
Which is funny because there's some people that actually just believe that that's how
all.
the world works.
I just want it really, really bad.
Yeah.
It's gonna come.
Yeah,
to me.
manifestation's one thing, but you got to put the effort in to manifest that shit.
Yes.
Yeah. How many people
So-
out there have just tried to manifest something and then they're just still sitting there in their parents' basement or whatever. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you got to implement it. That's the only way that it happens.
I agree. I'm a believer in something bigger than us out there. God,
sure.
universe, law of attraction, whatever it is that you want to put to it. But I don't believe that shit just happens by thinking it into existence. You got to go out and take action because that's the only way you learn.
Yeah, I mean, I forget who says it, but a goal is just a dream until you put action to it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Love that.
Right. And luck is it's like an equation between hard work and opportunity or something. It's not just luck. It's all the shit that you did before that to kind of lead you into that space where it actually happens. Yeah, sure, it might be lucky that you met this guy, but or whatever relationship it came down to. But ultimately, it was like all the hard work and all the shit you did before that to get you
That
to
put you in
point.
that position.
Yeah. I mean, we're all in sales. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Right? Yeah.
So it's a twofold. It is a numbers game. And if you've ever been a loan officer, real estate agent, wholesaler, you understand that the more people you talk to, right, that are potential prospects or whatever, the more deals that you're going to do. But the unquantifiable thing are the synaptic connections that you're making every time that you go out and have a conversation or do, like, you start to uncover things to where you can automatically go out and just do some work. And eventually, that like you can do less work to achieve that result. So that's kind of a cool way to look at it. But yeah, the more you work, the luckier you'll essentially get.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, the last time you were on here, you're telling us about your daily tracker. You still rocking that thing and using
Yeah, scorecards, man.
Scorecards, yeah.
Scorecard. I have all my guys on it now.
Okay.
Really?
First thing I did when I got into the director of sales role was one of the reasons they put me in there was because of my systems and processes. So pre-2022 July, which obviously monumental point for all of us, right? It was just go out, talk to people, you fall into a deal, or you could fall into a listing, or you could fall into a loan, right? And then all of a sudden, after years of it getting easier, it just got significantly harder. And so they saw me developing my own scorecards of like, all right, what are the things that I can control that probably lead to me buying a house? And then how many times do I want to do those on a week-to-week basis? And so I do that for, it's a little bit more difficult in a leadership position because I have like, one of the things I got 7 guys. So I want to talk to every single one of those guys once a day just to keep a pulse on them and see how things are going and see how I can clear obstacles. And then the other stuff kind of fluctuates, right? We've got a CRM that I'm in every day because I help with underwriting. So I want to make sure I clear all my notifications out from a leadership perspective, but all the other shit is like in flux. Sometimes I got to recruit. Sometimes I got to do more training. Sometimes it's group training, one-on-one training, but yeah, scorecards. I'm using it there. I'm using it in my personal life too, from a financial perspective and also from like a fitness perspective. Like how many days a week am I hitting my macros, hitting my steps and all that other stuff. But I'm a fairly left brain analytical person. I know some people that can produce a lot of success by just like feel and vibes. And I fucking envy those people because I'm like, I need to know how to do it. I need to see the process by which to do it so that I know I'm winning even on the days it doesn't feel like I'm winning.
No, I might fall into that second boat where I'm not as good about tracking shit that I should, I'm not as organized as I should be. That's for sure. But
yeah,
somehow things just seem to happen sometimes,
It's all a spectrum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what I say is like, we've got a guy on our team, Dennis Montgomery, and he's been doing this for 7 years. He's the best buyer on our team and has been for quite some time. And it's like, he's the guy that is like, I don't know. I don't remember what I did 2 days ago. You know what I mean? Like, but the funny thing is when I talk about those like unconscious synaptic connections you make by being in the position long enough, if you were to follow his day, he has a cadence and he has rhythm. He has weekly emails that he sends to all of his agents to remind him that he's still buying houses. He clears out his CRM every single day. Like, although he doesn't have a set process to follow, he's been doing it enough to where subconsciously he knows the things that he needs to do day in and day out. So I'm just more of the person that likes to look at it on paper, but it's more of a, on a spectrum than like a binary, I am or am not.
Well, you mentioned one of your jobs being recruiting, and we've brought this up a few times on the show. How's that been?
Fun.
Has it?
Yeah. So when I was in the world of recruitment, I liked it.
Yeah, because that was your full-time gig for a while, right?
I was a headhunter for about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was good money. Now I'm recruiting only for my personal team. So it is fun to the idea of like, hey, I'm going to match this person up with this company and I'm going to get a solid paycheck out of it. It's a lot more fun where it's like, hey, I'm recruiting my own fucking army.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are the guys that are going to be
going to battle with.
They're going, 100%. So I love the fact that I can do that. There's still turnover. I still get it wrong a lot of the times. And that's just
right.
Yeah.
That's 100% commission rolls, right?
Yeah. You can't predict what somebody's going to do or how they're going to produce or
Realizes my best way now to recruit is to network. I put it on social media. I let other people share it. I go into real estate investing groups. I find people that are already doing it in some capacity. I build up a pipeline of people and bring them through the process. So the recruitment bit has been a lot of fun.
yeah. Well, that's one thing I've noticed. You've gotten a lot more active on social over the last year for sure.
Yeah. You guys know Adam McChesney?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
I just did his last week.
Oh, that's right. You were
Yeah.
on it. I saw that. So did his, I actually just opted out. I'm going to join his BOA again, but I stopped showing up for so long that I'm like, hey, let me opt out for now. But when I first joined BOA, Builders of Authority, he gave me a simple playbook, and it was like post 2 times a day and add 5 people that you think are relevant to your circle on Facebook. And so that's what I did. I started doing it. Sometimes they're like long, drawn out posts that are significant milestones in my life. Sometimes they are quotes. Sometimes I'm like, fucking can't think of anything. ChatGPT, help me formulate a post about X, Y, or Z. But like, it's definitely helped me build a little bit of a brand. And it's just weird how like that starts to evolve. Like you do that for 90 days, all of a sudden people start paying a little bit more
People
attention to
notice.
what you're doing. Yeah.
Even if it's stupid shit, like me posting my little egg flip thing. You
Yeah,
know,
love
like
it.
people
Yeah.
love that stupid. Like I wouldn't keep doing it if people like are like expecting it now. You
Yeah.
know, like every morning I make 4 eggs and I just worked in a breakfast restaurant, so people are always they seem to be impressed the fact that I can flip them. And
What's the most amount of eggs you've ever flipped?
dude, there's this other guy. People send me this guy's videos all the time, but he like does like absurd amounts, like 24 eggs and shit like that. He'll like do these flips. And I'm like, I need to like start doing that. I don't know I think I've done like 6 or 7 before,
Yeah.
but like this guy gets like those like big ass pans, and he like
Do they break?
probably.
I was
It's
gonna say,
hard
that's
to
a lot of
know.
weight for-
It's
Yeah.
a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Like just even like you gotta like two hands it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, technique's gonna definitely be off with using 2 hands.
But that's also the thing. It's like you're still known. Like in some people
Yeah.
know you as like the egg
The
flipping
egg
guy.
flipping guy. Yeah.
And it all, but at the end of the day, it's like they're watching your
They're
story.
paying attention.
If they're watching your story, you're popping up in their algorithm, right? Eventually, they're gonna look for a fucking real estate agent,
Right.
and they're gonna be like, "Wait a second, the egg flipping guy
He
also
also sells
sells real
houses."
estate,
Yeah.
yes, or the podcast guy also
sells
sells house or
houses,
whatever
yes.
that is." Like everything that you guys are doing here, it's marketing and it's branding, and I have a love-hate relationship with it because sometimes it feels like a lot of extra work to do it, or sometimes I'm like, maybe I don't want to be the fucking face of whatever, right? Like I look at Sam Prim.
Yeah.
Sam,
Done a hell of a job.
oh my God, fucking talk about like a guy that not only took advantage of a time when like TikTok was really making its boom,
Mhm.
but like doubled down on the work to do that. And he's got 3 million followers across all platforms, right? Wild. And a big piece of that is the success that it's had. But sometimes I look at that and I'm like, man, I see how much he's in front of a camera. And I'm like, is that what I want to do? Like,
He's a Missouri State guy.
Yeah.
how he would do it in a heartbeat.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Definitely.
We were in the same dorms together.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Freshman
Small
year.
world.
Very
Man,
small
that's
world.
crazy.
Super small world. So, I think Andrew Burt was,
The names. Yeah.
there's a handful of guys in our
Yeah.
office that all went to college with them.
Yep.
But yeah, they're good dudes. He would do it. Lucas Walls would come on here in a heartbeat. Like they're obviously the co-owners of Faster House and Faster Freedom and all that other stuff. But they would for sure pop on.
Okay. Good
Sweet,
to know.
yeah.
We'll
We'll reach
definitely
out to 'em.
for sure. Oh, that's great.
So, but what else is going on, man?
And what else is going on? Yeah, life is good.
Yeah.
Life is that's it. I work. You know what I mean? I work, spend time with my girlfriend and her 3-year-old daughter.
Yeah, it seems I saw
Yeah.
you got a girlfriend now, and you guys seem really happy. It just you guys are going on all these trips and stuff. Looks awesome.
Yeah.
You just got back from like New Orleans or something, right?
We did just get back to New Orleans. So New Orleans is have you guys been?
No, I
I'm not.
haven't.
Okay. So New Orleans is fun. Some people consider it a little bit dirty, but I guess I can see why people would say that. But it's a inexpensive city. It's got a cool downtown with a lot of history. Food's really good. And then we were in a wedding.
Oh, cool.
And it's tradition when you, I guess, get married in the French Quarter, you end the reception with everybody walks out of the reception hall, and then there is a police car sitting there. And the police car goes, turns its lights on, and then bride and groom behind that, a marching band behind that, and then the wedding party behind them. And then you're like
Wow.
literally go down Bourbon Street.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they like
That's
the
pretty
clear
whole
cool.
wedding
clear the
party?
roads. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were clearing the roads. Like people are like on the on the balconies in the streets, like taking videos. So it was a good time. New Orleans was a lot of fun. But yeah, we've been on a handful of trips recently, and she's got a super busy life. She's software sales at a big company. She's got a 3-year-old daughter, but she's starting to get integrated into kind of what I'm doing a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah, I see
Contagious,
she
man.
just bought a house. Didn't she just buy one?
She just bought a new build over in Columbia, Illinois, but she's very interested in like the idea of building passive
Portfolio.
wealth. Yeah,
Yeah.
or building wealth in general. The idea of doing flips. Sheila's a very process oriented person. So we've been meeting regularly. Still very early on, obviously. We're just dating right now, although it's a serious relationship. We're not engaged or married or anything, but 2025, we're really going to start getting serious about like, hey, let's do a flip together,
Mm.
or let's take on a rental together, and let's see if there's
vibe.
something that could work here.
Yeah, if you vibe together
Yeah.
in a business sense instead of just a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
what better way to test a relationship than flip a house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of flips, so you just did your first flip. How is that in comparison to, kind of what you've done in the other realms of real estate investing?
So flip is
Yeah, it's different, right?
ask me when it sells. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but there is a difference. So there's rental
sure.
grade and then there's flip grade. Rental grade, people look at a house completely different. Of like, can I live here for
A year.
maybe 2 years, maybe 3, possibly. A flip are people that are going to make a really, really big investment. So everything from the flooring can be fairly similar, although you probably want to get a little more luxury flooring, but the countertops are different, the finishes are different. You got to pay a lot more attention to detail in terms of like the paint and everything within the house, be ready for inspections to pop up. And it's very similar until like the last couple of weeks, because the last couple of weeks we went through like 3 or 4 different punch lists of like things that needed to be done or needed to be redone. And it's been a cool experience though. It's been on the market for a little less than a week. So no major hits just yet, but it was an awesome learning experience.
Yeah. Think you'll do more of them or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the goal next year is to try to do at least 1 a quarter.
Okay.
Because if I can find the deals, if I can source the money, and if I can have multiple rehab crews for that,
Dude, that's the key, man.
there's no reason not to, right? If I can have somebody that'll GC most of it.
Yeah. Were you GCing this one?
Yeah, I GC'd this. I got a guy, Dave Sotelo, and he's been helping me a lot. He does all the cosmetic work, but he also has communicated a little bit with the people outside of his scope. So he's been awesome. But yeah, I GC'd most of it for sure. But I figure, why not add an extra? What do you make on a flip? Like 20 to 25K, right?
Yeah.
Why not explore the opportunity to do that like once a quarter?
Sure.
If you have the resources and capacity.
Well, yeah, and you have the deals at your, at your disposal, and it's like every deal. That's the way I look at it. Is like every deal that you find, there's a way to make it work. Okay, do we flip it? Do we turn it into a rental? There's like a formula to make every house work, and for every, it all depends on what you buy it for, obviously.
Yep.
But like, there's a number that makes every house a good deal.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, the underwriting process is really interesting, and I've got aggressive goals for next year. I had goals for this year that I wanted to get to 15 doors. I'm at 11 now. And what I've realized is I'm stopping actually because I don't want to say I've grown too fast, but there are holes in my processes. There are holes in the way that I'm budgeting, because you have to factor in holding costs. You have to factor in things going over budget. You have to factor in, if you're doing hard money, there are interests. There's interest, monthly interest associated with that. So you're paying interest only payments. And when you think about burning out of something, like, you don't get those interest payments back. So when you have multiple deals going at $1,000 to $2,000 a month, right, that shit starts to add up. And then I want to get more involved in the actual project management side of things. I had a really good contractor for a little bit, but I want to understand like labor and materials so that I can do this at scale. So right now there are a bunch of little holes in property management too. Like I got a vacancy sitting there. So it's like I need to button up these things first so that when I come in 2025 and I have crazy goals to get X amount of doors, those things aren't going to slow me down or eventually tip me over.
Yeah.
Plus, you're still buying too, right? Even though you're the sales manager, you're still buying wholesaling. Correct?
Yeah. So I'm buying for Faster House. So I'm still going out looking for deals for sure. But right now I'm like, it's something that I feel like not a lot of investors talk about, which is growing and scaling. Once you do it once, it's significantly easier to do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. But the more you do it, the more your blind spots show. So the more and the bigger impact that they're going to have on you in terms of your pocketbook, in terms of your stress, in terms of your time management, in terms of the timeline it's going to take you to complete these projects. So although like I've got this big ego and I'm like, no, let's push. I'm a risk taker. I bounce a lot of ideas off my girlfriend though, who's less, or I should say more risk adverse. So has a little bit more reason than I do. And she's like, why don't we just take a step back? Why don't we dial in the processes and then come out 2025 swinging?
I live in that same world. I'm the risk taker, and she's the whoa, wait a minute, what are you doing? You know, like
it's a great balance.
Yes, for
it's
sure.
a good yin and yang.
Because there's definitely some mistakes I would have made if I wouldn't. She hadn't like, hey, have you thought of this? I hadn't. You know,
yeah.
Like,
Without them, we'd be fucked.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, dude, let's jump. You
Yeah,
know?
right.
I could see the bottom. We're all right. You
Yeah,
know.
we'll be good. Yeah.
And yeah, dude. Because I've done a handful of flips as well, and dude, they just get. Dude, there's just every single one I've ever done. I think I've done 6 at this point, and then this year I've also done 3 wholesale deals where we bought them and cleared them out. Those honestly, like those have been the best deals I've ever.
Yeah.
Financially and for like just the ease of it. You
Bang
know,
for your buck.
Oh, God,
the time
dude.
you have to spend to
own,
do it.
Own them for like less than 2 weeks. You know, I
Yep.
pay a crew.
You're just going in and cleaning them out, right?
Yeah. So we bought these houses. They're usually ones that are people that are, you know, they inherit a house is typically the situation. At least all 3 of these where somebody inherited it and then, you know, they don't even live in town, or they're, you know, like, we don't know what to do with all this shit. We don't want to like clean all this out. Like they usually go through, get anything that's of value, and like, we'll just buy it from you with everything in it. And then we buy it, clean it out, you know, pay a crew to go over there, fill a couple dumpsters, and then essentially like get it professionally cleaned and just list it.
Yep.
And usually find, I mean, one of them, I guess the first 2 we didn't even list. I found off market buyers, but the last one we listed and got like 9 offers on it. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
And it ended up selling for like 20 grand over what we were asking. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
So just telling me that they got that flip about the
Yeah, I was gonna say I drove by the
it's
other
about to hit
day.
the- hit the market.
Yeah, because Melissa, his ex-wife, was the agent who represented the buyer that bought it. Yeah, and I drove by the other day. They like completely painted the whole outside of the house, and they like whitewashed it like you did on your flip.
Yeah. She's with CRS.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a big dinner with all like the CRS people not too long ago. Adam Draghi and Corey Boxer are good buddies of mine. But those wholesale deals, yeah. So was
she there? Melissa and Dalton.
Yep. Yeah, they were both there.
Yep.
Those wholesale deals I remember probably coming up on a year ago, I had one where I texted an agent in the morning. She called me an hour after that about a house in Imperial. And the house was cool. It was a log cabin, but it was kind of a wonky house, but it was on a good plot of land, and it had this massive, like brand new storage, like garage type, like almost like industrial barn type thing. And we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with it. The comps are rough for something like that.
Of course. It's like, there's not any like properties, especially for something so unique.
Yep.
It's hard to comp.
And so I forget the exact numbers on it, like what we bought it for versus what we sold it for, but we cleaned it up. We listed it on the market, and then we ended up getting an offer for $110,000 spread.
Oh, wow.
On the fucking thing. Yes, which was fucking wild. Now, obviously, I don't take all that. I get a piece of that in terms of commission, but like, it is pretty crazy. Like the whole tail side of things is becoming more and more popular, especially with, even though it's like a slower season, interest rates are a little bit higher, inventory is still super low.
Still super low, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, nationally, we're right, but here in Missouri, I still think we're down 21% from where we were pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of places around the country that are better off than were in the pre-pandemic, but it just hasn't hit here yet.
Yeah, funny enough, October ticked up in home sales. which is like over the past 5 years,
That was
it's historically the time where
History.
things start to, every like
October was
clockwork,
my
it goes like
that
this.
was-
my biggest month
that was
of my
my
career.
that was my best month of this year.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah,
Yeah.
our numbers matched up in terms of like house buys. I think we bought 28 houses in October
Yeah.
as a company, and I think it was either the best month or tied for the best month, and it was either like June or July or sometime in the middle of the summer when it's traditionally a little bit better.
Badass.
Pretty sweet, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's so
awesome.
weird that October. Who knows? It's like you never know what's going to happen. It's like
Get those people that were probably scared about the election, or now
yeah.
you've got the people
Well,
that
and then
were,
I feel like I'm noticing and you and I have talked about this. I think we talked about it in episodes, but like I feel like right now I'm feeling like a big like jump or big like uptick in business for
well,
sure.
that's but so I was talking with the head of our pricing department, and he was saying, yeah, like most of our loan offices are slow.
Really?
Oh yeah, and I was talking with Matt before we got started rolling, but yeah, I mean, like I had the 5 contracts last week, and then I had like 5 or 6 buyers offering this past weekend. Nothing hit, but I talked to a listing agent today about a deal. Sent over a couple pre-approvals last night for people that were wanting to write on houses during the week. And typically, when you're writing houses on offers during the week, you're going to win those offers. So
Yeah. There's not less competition.
right. So I'm thinking I might have another 3 offers coming.
Well,
So-
hopefully you'll get one from me eventually. If these
Yeah,
people, dude, this has been a goddamn nightmare.
Oh man,
It's this. It's like a hedge fund that owns this house in it's in it's in
it's an Imperial.
Imperial, yeah. They're just it's like dealing with like buying a house from Walmart. It's just like such a I sent a counter back and I didn't get one back for 5 days.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Just like
Yep.
That, and then
and
they're
we
like-
basically like agreed to thing, but we were just like arguing over the title company
company.
because they wanted to use their like weird title company that we've never heard of, and they're like, we have this weird way to be paid out, and we have all these things to pay off, and it has to go through this and this
Well,
and
it's
this.
the house is in a portfolio.
Yeah.
So
Got it.
there's a whole,
Yep.
and they're like, well, our title company is the only one that knows how to do this. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Like
I was just like a
every-
little sketched out because they own the title company too,
Right.
and it's like it's a little
And we're
weird.
just like, so because you're saying that this is the only title company, they're going to charge excess fees to our clients, and we shot it over to one of the people that we know.
Yeah, he said he
and
could
he's
do
like,
it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no. And so I, tried to argue my case for like, it took like, 5 days basically because I was like, hey, we got a title company that could do it. Like, here's the email from him saying that he can do it, and then like crickets for 5 days, and then they sent back like, no, have to use our title. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, just but it's just
One of the
stupid.
one of the biggest problems with hedge fund companies, they're not a family
yeah, they don't give a
looking
fuck.
to, like, they don't need the money, they don't need to move, they're not
Right.
forced by
yes.
deadlines because they're selling off and buying everything else, and there's like so many layers to the people that are actually running the show. It's like there's just no need or there's no sense of urgency
No.
around it.
Not at
that
all.
too. The house has been sitting for a while, and we went in below, right?
Yeah. So
And
yeah, we
you're
went
like,
in
nope.
like they're asking 230 for it. I think I've been on the market for a month or two, like a month and a half, or maybe right at a month. And then we went in at 200. They countered at 230. Came back like 220, 230. Like, all right, they're like, we want the house. Let's just buy it for 230. And so then once we agreed to that, I was like, okay, well, it's a done deal. And then we just like trying to get them to sign the contract and like agree, and then the whole title company fiasco was just kind of a pain in the ass. But
Yeah.
I think we'll get it all
And
figured
you
out.
had to rewrite a whole new one. because
Yeah, I
they
had to
wanted
rewrite a whole new one this
clean-
morning because they
a
wanted a
clean
clean contract.
contract.
I was like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Like, just get.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in, right?
Yeah. Like, no, whatever. So, hey, what's been of this whole year with all this growth and everything? What would you say your biggest win has been?
Hmm.
Is there a property that you bought that you're like, oh, this is my, do you have a favorite of all your children?
So in terms of this year on real estate, yeah. I think my coolest deal was definitely my first deal, which was I bought the property for $115,000. I put $50,000 into it, so $165,000 all in, and then had a private money lender fund everything, so I didn't have to pay anything till the back end. And then it appraised I needed $220 to fully burr out of it. It appraised at $265,000.
Sick.
So I got a $12,000 check at closing, and then on a 20-year note, it cash flows like $400 something a month
Dude.
on
Wow.
a
That's
duplex.
That's
so
awesome.
that was cool. Yeah, and I think from a personal standpoint, I already kind of talked about this, but I think I think getting more serious with my girlfriend and the idea of like going into business with somebody and exploring that. I always think of like Layla and
Yeah.
Alex
Yeah,
Hermosi
for sure.
and how they have that dynamic. So from a personal standpoint, my biggest win is her. And just because she might be listening to this, I kind of have to say that,
Yeah.
Of
right?
course.
But yeah, all the above. And the first deal, not only was it like the best and most lucrative deal, but it was proof of concept. So once I did that, I was able to do it over and over again and learn a little bit more each time.
So of all these deals you've bought, all the doors you have they all been burrs?
Every single one of them's been burst.
Okay.
There's been a couple that the one I went over budget. There was what was it? There was one that I got, like I said, I made the $12,000 on. There's one I owed a little bit of money at the end. So yeah, but really for the most part, it's like I'm getting in and out of these with little to no money out of pocket.
And
Incredible.
for those listeners that don't know, what does BRRRR stand for?
Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, then repeat. So you buy the property. Buy, rehab is the order. So you buy the property that's distressed, you rehab it, and usually you buy it at about a 60 to 70% discount. You rehab it, and then when you refinance, a new appraisal goes on there, and the bank gives you a loan for 75% of the value of the property. So they give you that 75%, and you rent it out, and you repeat the process. Hopefully it cash flows, but the idea is you just got 25% equity in this house that was added to your net worth or whatever whichever way that you want to put it. And you now have a cash flowing asset that also has tax benefits.
Dude.
That's awesome. And so you've done that 11 times, or well, eight times with
Something like that,
Yeah.
like probably closer to six times
Six times.
between like duplexes and stuff like that.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, man, it's a smart way. But now again, let's for people that might not know, how do you go about finding these homes? You've talked about it earlier through your network and things like that. But when an agent calls you and sends you a property, and you go and you do the underwrite of it, what does that look like? What is that process?
Yeah. So comps are something that we're all familiar with, or especially like agents that have MLS access. So the goal is to look at that property and not look at what it's worth right now, but look at what it could be worth if it were fixed up similar to the other properties in the area. And then you take anywhere between 70 and 75% of that. That's your starting number. And you subtract the repair costs. We have a rehab calculator, I guess, a Google sheet that you just kind of plug in like small kitchen, medium kitchen, large kitchen. How many bathrooms? Does it just need a vanity? Does it need this? And it's like line item by line item. And it spits out the number and then factors in an oh shit 10%. So we usually try to buy it around there. Yep. I think the difference between us and like retail, as you guys probably know, is usually there's some form of distress. You know, the property's physically distressed, emotional distress, financial distress. For some reason, those people prioritize speed and convenience over getting top dollar. And so a lot of people have a really bad outlook on wholesalers or cash buyers and say they're trying to screw people over. And it's like, no, when you buy a property that's $100, $200, $300, $4,000, you inherit a lot of risk. Your goal is to make money out of that. So we do a really good job of being honest. At like, you can get more money by taking this to the market. But if you prioritize speed and convenience over getting top dollar and you want to get rid of it, here is our price. You can tell if that price matches up with what you want. And if it's not what you want, that's perfectly fine. We lead them to go seek out a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. And now when it comes to obviously a lot of hard money lending in this, and then
Yeah.
Money for down payment, like for a hard money loan, most of the time, what, like 25% down on something like that?
No. I've never had to put money down for a hard money loan. Some people do require it. But there's
you guys
also
have your in-house lender, right?
Yeah, and I actually yes, I've used a couple of different ones, and I've never necessarily had to put. Most will have you if they don't know you and they're just building the relationship, they'll have you put money down for the hard money loan, and some maybe it's a little bit more regular, but private money is the way to go. If you can find somebody that will finance the purchase and the rehab, because even with hard money, what they'll do is they'll give you the purchase money and then you have to come out of pocket for the rehab, but they'll do disbursements.
Draws.
They'll do draws. So they'll give you a little bit back once they see receipts, once they go see the property. Smart on their part,
Sure.
right? They absolutely, being as big as companies as they are, they should do that. But from an investor standpoint, if you can find somebody that won't charge points and will pay everything up front, that's the best way to do it, because then you don't have the bleeding holding costs that you don't get to recoup at the end of it, because most banks now won't let you refinance and recoup any of that money or get any of it, because they don't want to see you not having any stake in the game when they know you got the loan for this and then you're using them for that.
Now, how do you go about finding these private money lenders? It's just a rich guy, or like rich doctor, lawyer, or do you just like give a?
So I did it through a social media post.
Okay.
And, there was, I guess, whatever, like, I think I did it in the wrong way. Technically, like, there's a legal way you can post about looking for money, but I'm a fucking small, nobody knows me. But apparently there's a specific way if you're going to ask for social media for private money lending, the text has to be around it. So looking into your network, one of the biggest things I found since I talked to people is like, first find the people with money, like disposable money, like liquid cash. And then if you want to like subsector, like an even better group of people, it's people that already believe in real estate, because it's tough to convince people to give you their money and believe that they're going to get better returns in the current real estate, or not real estate, like stock market or whatever. It is even tougher if you have to convince them to give you money and convince them why real estate is a good asset class to invest in. So somebody that might have been a landlord at some point in time and didn't like the idea of being a landlord, or they've done flips, or they understand in some way, shape, or form that real estate's a good investment. And then, dude, just fucking network. Like it's wild. It's like I look at sales, I look at networking, I look at recruiting, I look at building a referral-based business. It's all the same thing. It's all getting out and talking to as many people as you possibly can. And what I realize is I go through this phase of like, when I need to get something, whether it's a private money lender or a deal, I'm like, fuck am I going to do? Like, how am I going to do this? And then all of a sudden I start talking to people. And then there's like a period where I'm just like talking to everybody. And then all of a sudden, like one person leads to another person. And then I get an idea about talking to another. And then like, it's right in front of my lap. So it's all the same shit. It's just talking to people. It's targeting the right people that are going to be more likely to do whatever it is that you're looking for. In this case, private money. And then you talk to enough of those people, and eventually one of them believes in you, and you give it a go.
Give it a shot.
And then you just refinance it and pay them back.
Yep. Refinance it and pay them back. So the private money lender that I did on my first one, he's now funding this flip. So he'll.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Now, is there a certain return that you like agree, you guys like negotiate on terms and like, hey, I'm going to give you X amount of percent, and or like, you give me, just use easy numbers. You give me $100,000, you're going to give me 110 back, or how does that work?
Yeah. So the private money, it's usually anywhere between 8 and 12%. And then every once in a while, people will do like points on the back end. So a point is just a percentage of, for the people that don't know, a point is just like a percentage on that back end. So if it's 12%, that's usually going to be $1,000 a month in interest. And then if it's an extra point on the back end, then it's, if it's $100,000, obviously it's going to be $1,000, right?
Yeah.
So my private money lender, when we first did it, it was 10-1.
Okay.
And it was, and then he, after doing that, I think he was pretty happy with his return, but he talked to a bunch of other people that were doing private money lending. He was realizing people were getting higher rates. And so he was like, hey, he's like, I want 12. And he's like, this is what I would want. This is where it would be a little bit more worth it to me. And so instead of negotiating, instead of being like, well, I can find this for 11-2 or 12-2 or 12-1, which I could have, I was like, dude, I'm trying to build a long-term relationship with you. I'm like, one, you give me all the money up front. You don't charge me any interest payments over the course of the month, which puts more money in my pocket. It's huge. And I'm like, they are significantly well-off couple. They own a digital marketing agency, and they make a lot more money than what I do, and they're going to have a lot more cash down the road. So what I said is, my ultimate goal is to do this enough times on a single family front for you to where when I have opportunities in apartment complexes, we can actually partner in this together. So that's one thing I will say that I in just about every area of business, like whether it be contractors or hard money lenders, is I'm never the guy that's going to nickel and dime somebody. Like my goal is not to get you to do your job at the cheapest way possible. My goal is to build a long-term relationship. Knowing that that's going to be somebody that I can trust, somebody that I can go to. They're going to follow through on the things that they say they're going to do. And if I see long-term potential for bigger and better things. And so that's what I'm doing right now with the guy that I want to do contracting with. It's like we're talking about him starting out as a maintenance man, going to my properties and eventually leading a construction team, right? He's like, Iowa, makes anywhere from 20 to 30 an hour is what he would charge for this. I'm like, cool, let's just do 30, right? Like, I want you to be happy. I want you to be comfortable. And I see the long-term potential. Same with my private money lender. Take your 12 and 3, perfectly fine. It's still a massive win for me. And like, I don't want any friction because I have bigger and better plans for us.
Yeah, I love that.
Right. And then down the line, been long enough, probably, you know what? We'll do 10 and 1.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
Do enough of them. We'll see.
Dude, that's amazing. That's something I've not dabbled in the private. So it's definitely something I want to do in the future for sure. So
How about just having that kind of money that you can do that with?
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. The goal is to get,
Let's get there.
Let's get to that.
Well, it seems to be a progression of a lot of investors that I know. Like people start out like wholesaling, then they get into flips, then they get into rentals. And then all of a sudden, like one of the guys that is lending to me on a project right now, it's like he still does the flips and the rentals and all that other stuff. But like they've got 1.5 to 2 million out on the streets at all time. Part of it is their HELOC through some properties that they have. So they like borrow it at 8, lend it at 12, but the other is their cash, right?
Yeah.
So they're making, just by lending the money, well over $100,000 passively ish every single year just by lending that money out. And the thing for them understanding real estate is he talked to me. He's like, I see the numbers, like I see your comps. He's like, I'll do it and I'll give you all the money because what I know is that if you do fuck up, I can come in, I can finish that project. I have contractors, I know scopes of work. He's like, I know the area well enough where like I can just fix it up, I can sell it, and I can recoup and probably make some money at the end of it. So it's very low risk, but it does seem like, yeah, eventually people want to be the person with the money. Everybody wants to be the
For
bank.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, man, like one of the things that I run into that's like always the biggest headache for me when I'm doing just about anything in regards to real estate investing is contractors. So is that something you like kind of diligently had like a team kind of planned out before you planned on doing this, or has that changed? Have your contractors changed, or are you different people? What's that look like?
Yeah. That's a really good question and a pretty big hot button for most people
Mhm.
when it comes to it, because there's a lot of bad contractors out there, just like there's a lot of bad real estate agents and bad, but I feel like when more bad of an industry comes out when there's a massive need for them, right? So for real estate agents, it was like, and loan officers and wholesalers, it was like 2018 to 2022. It was so easy to be it. Everybody was it. And then all the shitty ones came through because it was low barrier entry and it was easy to be. This is what is happening with contractors right now. It's very easy to be a contractor. A contractor can literally like close up shop and not do a fucking like for a project, not do anything else for it and finish it incomplete and walk down the street and like throw a rock and hit a new project that he could work on and get paid full price. So to answer your question, did I have a team starting out? No, but I lucked into one. There was a coaching program that I joined that a contractor had just split with his business partner and was looking to kind of make a name for himself. And so he's been Dave Sotelo, who I was talking to you about. He's the one that I've been using for just about every single one of my projects so far. Him and I have become friends over it. I've referred him a little bit of business along the way. And we've had a really good relationship. But now looking forward with my growth goals, it's like I still have Dave, but my goal is to eventually build that in-house because I can save. And also Dave wants to do more flips and doesn't want to like scale a contracting company essentially. So I'm helping him pay the bills by giving him consistent work. And he's doing flips on the side as well. But the goal is to broaden my contractor perspective. And eventually, like I said, I don't want a construction company, but I want an in-house construction team that focuses on my flips and my rentals.
Keeping them busy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, you got a lot of irons in the fire, man. Well, mentally, how do you prepare for all this, man? How do you stay mentally sharp? How do you keep that mental edge?
I think I don't know if you want like the basic stuff. It's like same as you guys. You know what I mean? Like make sure you make time for fitness. Make sure you're trying to eat right. Make sure you're trying to sleep. But I have a lot of irons in the fire, but it's all has synergy with what I'm doing, right? So I work for a real estate wholesaling company. That real estate wholesaling company brings in deals that I can look at. I'm underwriting deals every day. I'm learning about neighborhoods. I'm learning about contractors. I'm learning about bids on what things cost. So that helps me with my flips. That helps me with my rentals. Um, and a lot of it is outsourcing. And I'm not saying it. I think people can under outsource and people can over outsource. Like you hear about a lot of entrepreneurs get to this point where they're like James Gleason is one. Like he would never outsource anything. He wanted to do everything and all the things at once. He had like 90 something properties where he was like mowing his own fucking lawns, like for each one of those. And you hear about that a lot. Like they struggle to relinquish control. I'm on like the opposite end of that spectrum. I would outsource a little bit too much starting out, right? So it's like I would just be like, fuck, don't like it, find somebody else, like pay for somebody else to do it. There's a middle ground that I've found where it's like I need to learn what this is at like I need to learn what is it? The Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule. I need to learn 20% of it. That'll get me 80% of the way there. And then when I have that down, I can look to outsource. So the general contracting stuff, not too difficult for me. I just had to get a guy for every category. I had to get a general carpenter, plumber, electrician, like go-to guys that I'm consistently giving business to and that I trust. So that when I'm closing on a project, I call all of them. I say, meet at this house, give me the bid before I close and let's go. For the contractor, it's like the goal of mine is to bring on a guy, but have him work for other companies that I trust while he learns that side and see what it evolves into. So it's like I'm doing a lot, right? But it's like I'm not, I'm pretty good at like keeping like a pulse on like my capacity and what it is that I'm doing. My number one thing is helping Faster House get to 300 house buys next year and growing that team. Because if I don't do that, I don't have the funnel and resources and coaching and development that can do all these other things. So, and I'm not trying to take anything away from myself. I think I'm doing a lot. I think all of us are doing more than, 99% of the world. But I think it's a good, healthy balance of learning the things that you absolutely are necessary to learn and then knowing when to push things off to other people.
Dude, I totally agree. I've kind of been in both boats, like you just said. Like I've definitely been the guy that I think my first 3 flips, I was the one who pretty much I was in there swinging hammers, painting walls, doing all the things. And then I've also, but then I it's honestly more on my personal like life that I've outsourced a lot of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like cutting my own grass, hanging Christmas, like all these things like that I just used to do all myself and like, but I don't want to pay for that. I can do that. But now it's like, man, if I spend more time or if I spend my time more wisely and like do the shit that I'm actually really good at that brings money in the door, like that frees up if I don't have to do all those projects, all those other things that I don't really necessarily want to be doing,
Yep.
it opens up so much more of my time to do the shit that I'm good at.
Yes. So
Yeah,
there's
but you have to put the work. Like some people will outsource and just won't use that time to do the other work. Time correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, I used to be that person. I used to be like, I could just outsource this. When I was in my recruitment business, I would just like outsource. And it's like, no, I got to fucking learn and do the work and then outsource. But you're outsourcing things that are below your dollar an hour perspective, right? Like how much money do you make? Divide that by 2,000 hours. That's your hourly rate, right? Cutting the grass.
The same thing. Yeah.
Yep. Cutting the grass, putting on the Christmas lights, doing all that shit. And you don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if it's like a high level thing, you probably shouldn't outsource it. If it's something that like, hey, I enjoy this because I get to do this with my family, or I just enjoy it's like a fucking thing that's like meditative for me, whatever the fuck it might be.
Cutting grass was like that for me.
Yeah. It's like if you enjoy it, then there's no point in outsourcing. So it's like, does it fall below, like well below your dollar an hour? And do you not enjoy it? Cool. Outsource it.
Yeah, I think that's a great great piece of advice for a lot of people because, man, people are just so, it's like a control thing and then it's also a financial thing. It's like people don't want to let go of that control, but then they're also like, well, I don't want to pay for that. I can do that myself. At least that's where I always fall into. It's like, oh, I can save the money by doing it myself. And I can't tell you how many times I've shot myself in the foot that because it ends up taking me longer, especially when it comes to like rehabbing houses. Cause it's like, man, sure. Can I paint or can I do, can I put some floor in? Can I do this? Yes, I can. But like, is it going to take me, it's going to take me way longer and it's probably not going to look as good as the guy who literally does this all day, every day. And this is what he does.
Yeah. And then
know?
you could use that time to focus on getting more clients,
Finding
finding
more
more
deals,
projects. 100%. And I think you start to realize that in like high utilitarian types, right? So if you're like motivated by money or you're motivated by like, is this good bang for my buck? Then it's really easy to like grasp that concept of like, I should just let somebody else do this.
Yeah, 100%. Man. Couldn't agree more with that.
Well, I remember the last time we were here, we talked a lot about books. Read any good books lately?
Probably halfway through this year, maybe early this year, I dialed back the self-development stuff because my self-development was all coming from like learning my trade and the process that I was doing. And it's going in seasons. I'll have another season where I pick up and I do all this stuff. So I haven't as much. But we did read a book together called Tribe of Millionaires. And it's a fable. And it's about a guy who, how do I put this as easily as possible? So it's a lot like you're the average of the 5 people you associate yourself most with, but a guy's dad passed away. His dad started this tribe of millionaires and they help hold each other accountable. And there's a lot of principles along the way. And it was a good like read that wasn't too in depth of like processes and like how to do things. Cause that was getting to me at one point where I'm like, I want to read all these books. And then I would read a book and see all these things that I would need to do. And I'd be like, I can't fucking do all these things. And it would get at me a little bit. So a little bit of a hiatus. Have you guys come across anything?
Yeah, well, we do a book club here where Pat and I read a book together every month, and so that's kept us really consistent with I'm reading just 10 pages a day is all I do, the old 75 hard thing. But yeah, actually, right now we're reading the 4 Agreements, but this was like my favorite book that we've read so far this year, right here, the Almanac of Naval.
Okay,
it's been really good.
Pretty good.
What is it?
Easy read. Naval, he's like this, like an angel investor in a bunch of things like Twitter and Uber and all these things. He's been on quite a few podcasts, and this book wasn't actually like written by him. This was like written by this guy Eric Jorgensen, who like took
Basically stalked him,
just stalked Naval's like and
Yeah.
watched and read all his shit and like just like basically made a book on it. And dude, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's
It's
a
like the
lot.
easiest read because it's like you flip through it and like see like these like gray things
Yep.
that are on here are like just tweets.
Yeah.
Or those are Naval's tweets. And so like he'll like go on there and then it'll just be like a couple, a paragraph about that tweet, like kind
No
of
shit.
elaborating on it. But like you could like just pick this book up to a random page and just like, get like a little something out of it. And just really good. And honestly, if you ever want to like really kind of know what Naval is all about, he did an episode on Rogan probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And it was really fucking I rewatched that episode before we talked about this book just because it was a lot of the shit that was in here was on that episode.
God damn it, you're making me want to read again. I'm like, oh, can I borrow that book?
No, for sure. Yeah, take it.
But I love the fact that you guys are doing a book club.
Yeah, it just forces us to keep me like, well, fuck, I got to read because I got to talk about it for an hour and at some point this month.
Yeah.
It forces you to articulate.
Yeah.
And it's all stuff that's good, like good books and full of knowledge and wealth.
Yeah, it's been really good.
I think my favorite one though has been the 5 a.m. Club.
5 a.m.
That
Club was awesome, and that's similar to the one you just described, where it's like a fable or it's a story.
Yeah.
It's not like a like a self help book because some of these self help books they're great, but they're not like the most fun read. Like the 5 a.m. Club was like a story, but it like taught you shit.
Yeah,
it was good.
Isn't it wild to think that there are a mass like majority of people don't read, don't read or listen or look to improve,
consume like good quality shit.
Yeah,
I don't know. We say it all the time. If you aren't growing, you're dying. In some way. So I don't know. It's something that I always push forward.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And I just realized like I'm like we're just around so many people that do this.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like
not normal.
sometimes we think like, oh, this is just the way everybody is. And this is what, we start to feel behind,
Yeah.
right? We're like, oh shit, like everybody's out there reading. It's like, no, the far majority of fucking people aren't doing anything. And I have nothing against Netflix, but like just watching like
Yeah,
streaming shows
sure.
and fucking scrolling on social media and getting caught up in the gossip. And there, I'm a firm believer that everybody is allowed to live their life in any way that we want. And we're privileged enough to be fucking in America where that's an opportunity, right? But I just like sometimes us as entrepreneurs or business owners or individual contributors have to sit back and think about like, hey, we're doing pretty fucking good. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Even
yeah.
though it doesn't always feel like that.
I'm real hard. It's really easy to be hard on yourself and say like, just and you look at all the flaws and the things you fuck up or whatever. But then you look at yourself compared to where a lot of people are, and you're like, okay, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
And but like you said, we get really caught up kind of in like our own echo chamber, and like because the people you spend the time the most time with, you realize that they're doing all this shit, but then you see just other people that are not consuming this kind of content and doing the kind of stuff about self improvement that we're doing all the time, and it's really you forget that not everybody does it.
Well, and to that too is like, we talk about here like health and fitness, but like I feel like in my world, it's gotten a lot. Like a lot. Like I feel like everybody's healthy and eating, but then I look outside and I talk to other people, and I'm like, wait.
You stand in line at the election. You're like looking around. You're like, oh wow, oh yeah,
Right.
that was funny. Like one of my CrossFit coaches, we were laughing about. She goes, she's standing in line at the election because I bet no one in here knows who Rich Froning is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I don't know. It is an interesting concept to think about. I gotta ask a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Like from all the shit that you're doing, the podcast, the work that you guys do, everything from jujitsu to lifting or running or whatever it is that do you guys enjoy? Like, do you guys, from a business perspective, are you guys having fun?
Yeah, for
Blast.
sure,
Absolutely.
100%. There's good days and bad days. I mean, there's days where deals fall apart, or something happens with something, or you get an injury or something happens that. But dude, oh man, I look forward to all the shit I do. I love.
Yeah.
Whether it's jujitsu, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's real estate sales, real estate investing, being a dad. I love everything
Yeah.
that I do.
It's every day's and that's a great thing. Everything's different, but I should every day's different, but the same. I've got my non-negotiables that are the same every day has a different theme, so that theme is never going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But like the things that I'm actually doing, like I'm not going to call the same real estate agents on Monday. I'm going to call new agents and have new conversations.
Right.
Tuesdays are Tuesday updates. Those are updates are going to be different every week.
Yep.
Podcasts, different guests, different conversations that we're having every week.
Yeah. Before this, we had a stand-up comedian on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it was very diverse. Whether we're talking about bullshit and bombing on stage, and then have you on, and we're talking about real estate deals.
Right.
It's fun.
It's fun, and Zach mentioned when deals, you have your good days, your bad days, and deals fall apart. But like I think my job can get really boring if things are going really smooth. So sometimes it's like nice to have. I've had a couple appraisals come in, had issues to them. They appraise out, but they're subject to, and it's like, all right, let's figure this out. Or they don't appraise out. How do we navigate through this? It actually forces me to actually have to do my job, because a lot of the time I'm just talking to people, like networking, talking, and taking applications and putting stuff in the system can get really redundant and boring.
Yep.
And so it's nice having that change and having that, having some of those issues pop up, because it adds a little bit of excitement and keeps you sharp and keeps you focused and motivated, and it's never dull or boring. So
it does.
There's always some excitement to every day.
There is. And that's another, I asked that question because that's another thing I think about on a regular basis, is where we're in the minority. It's like the far majority of people do not enjoy things that they do. And I'm just lucky enough to be around a bunch of people who do enjoy the things that they do. It's like, I couldn't imagine, like you guys said, every day is different. I don't enjoy every part of every day. But when I look at my life from like a 10,000 foot overview, I'm like, I have so much freedom, so much flexibility. I'm like, my income's great. I see my net worth building. Like my health is on point. I get time to go on trips, right? It's like, and I have developed like a love for the game. Like maybe it was Hermosi that talked about it. I'm sure multiple people have, but it's like, don't focus on don't get too obsessed with like having the passion, right? Like the passion for what it is that you do. Instead, have a love for the game, like the overall goal of what you're doing, because you get to do the things that you're passionate about, obviously, like the things that are in your zone of genius. But if you have a love for the game, you're also going to force yourself into this area that like, I got to mold, I got to be a little bit of a chameleon, and I got to learn how to do X so that we can get to our ultimate goal. And I feel like real estate or just business in general is the place to do that, because if all of our careers or wealth building in general were as easy as fitting a square peg into a square hole, it would get really fucking boring, and we'd want to fucking off ourselves. Like it would fucking
Right.
suck.
100%,
Oh,
dude.
totally.
Yeah, I'm just so thankful. Yeah, like you said, I'm just so thankful I get to do shit every day that I want to be doing. You know, like even today, like I was just thinking about it when I was driving back home here because I was like, I got to go pick up, 2 memory cards for the cameras. Like, fuck, like I wish I would have thought about this yesterday. I'm like, man, I got the freedom to like be able to go do this right now. Because there was a time in my life where no, I'm fucking stuck in this restaurant or this wherever, and I have to be here from this
Clock
time
in,
to this
clock
time.
out.
I'm bitching because I got to go run to the store and pick up something so I can sit down and record a podcast with my friends.
Yeah.
Like, what
Or
the
we
fuck?
get to,
What am I?
we've just spent 3 hours talking
Yeah.
to 2 different people.
Yeah,
So it's like,
come on.
It's wild. And
Yeah.
I have a job, right? Like I'm a
Sure.
W-2 employee, but it's similar. It's like
same.
I was gonna go into the office after this in O'Fallon. I was talking to our COO Matt, who I report to, and then this got pushed a little bit. I was like, "Fuck, do I want to go out to O'Fallon then come all the way back this?" And I called him like, "Hey, dude, I didn't even need to call him, but I was just like, hey, I'm probably just to let you know, I'm probably just not gonna be in." He was like, "Cool." It's like I come and go as I please, like freedom, the flexibility. God, the worst thing ever was
Handcuffed to a building, man.
oh my God,
I hated that.
it was awful, and that was I've been in sales jobs or owned my own business for, quite some time, but I always look back at like the serving industry. It was fucking best thing I'll never want to do again.
Yes. Oh, like there's so many skills. Like I say it all the time, man. If you're like, I just met with a kid pretty recently who's like wanting to get his real estate license and like, he's thinking about, is this what I want to do, what I want to pursue? And he's like a 19-year-old kid waiting tables at 2 different restaurants. And I'm like, bro, you got a good, like to get a start in this business, you got a great foundation because you're used to going up to a table and making friends with perfect strangers.
Mhm.
Because that's essentially what you're doing when you're waiting tables. If you're good at it,
It is.
You're trying to make those people like you. Is really what it is because
Yep.
you're financially incentivized to do so.
100%.
And and it's this kind of the same thing in real estate. Really, I mean, yes, are the stakes higher? Is like people are making the biggest financial purchases of their life, so it's a big fucking deal, but it's still like the networking, and we've talked about that many times, but it's just the ability to go up and talk to somebody and make them like you. It's huge in this business because people work with people that they like,
Yeah, I do.
and and just having that leg up of experience in the restaurant, for you and me was huge. I think it was one of the best things I ever did, for my for my real estate business, but I didn't know what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
There just to collect my tips,
Right.
but definitely grew some skills along the way.
It's a great industry to cut your teeth in no matter which way you go.
Yeah, because it's tough. It's tough. It sucks, but it's great. What'd you say? It's the best thing I never want to do again.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did catering, so it was a little different. I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually, I did a couple of catering jobs. That was actually fucking great because like you didn't have to do as much interaction, but you still collected like some tips by the end of it.
Yeah.
So I remember, I guess I was in college when I did it, and I showed up hungover, and I was like, and you had to like make yourself almost invisible too. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is perfect. Like I don't
Perfect.
fucke talk to
Yeah,
these
get
people.
me the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And then I got beer money after.
Yeah, the best.
hmm
So, oh man, great to have you back on.
Yeah.
And love to hear. I'm glad to hear about all the success, and look forward to continuing to follow you along and all that. I know we did. Actually, no,
I don't think
we
we did.
We didn't do it with them.
We weren't doing that
We
yet.
didn't read that book yet.
No.
Nope. So, something new. I'll call the tombstone game.
Okay.
Okay. Here lies Matt. What's it say on your tombstone?
You guys didn't fucking give me this to prep.
Yeah.
Nope, this is we catch you off guard on this one.
So, hardworking, ambitious, and I would say a great friend. Um, I would say those are probably like I love the fact I love knowing the fact that I'm hardworking. I like I love the fact that I'm ambitious. I like the fact that I have goals, and I'm thinking when those two things, uh, and I when those two things are in play, and I'm surrounded by other people, it's like I think that's a way I help lift people up. And I say great friend because I was gonna say connector, and I was like, who the fuck wants to have connector on their
Yeah, it's a
tombstone?
little weird.
But it's like that's what we do,
Yeah.
right? Like when we're connecting, it's not a transactional thing, although it can be. It's like the best friendships, relationships, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You two, right, are the ones that start out as business and that blossom into something
For
more,
sure.
which is a friendship. So I would say that would probably put on the spot. I would say that's probably the best I got right now.
Dude, that's
Perfect,
perfect.
perfect.
I love it.
Mm.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for paying attention to the show and tuning into this one. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button for us. Hit that like button. Comment what you guys thought below, and we will see you next time.